Hey everyone, and welcome back to Esther S T. I hope that you are doing very well. I cannot believe we are now in the 6th month of the year. Wow, 2024 is flying by so quickly. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my recent subscribers. You are very welcome on this channel, and I'm really hoping that the videos that you've seen thus far are inspiring you and helping you on your journey of becoming. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about a very interesting topic that at times, and as human beings, we think we know the decisions that are beneficial for our lives, or we tend to make decisions and come to conclusions that we think are correct. But there are moments where life will humble us and remind us that our way isn't always what we had in mind. And for this reason, the topic of today's video is, drumroll, when you think your way is better. Now, I remember a few weeks ago studying the book of 2 Kings chapter 5, verses 10 to 14 about Naaman and leprosy. And having read it, I took the time to study verses 10 to 14. And I'm going to read it shortly, but I just want to give you a bit of an insight into what I gained from this particular story. Now, Naaman was a man who had leprosy. Elisha, who was a prophet, assisted him and wanted to help him in being healed. But as always, and as human beings, we tend to have our own way and our own perception of how we should be healed, or how we should receive our blessings, or how we should be positioned to get to the next level. And it really fascinated me because to an extent, it felt like Naaman had a bit of pride in him because he was quite angry to submit and just agree with the instructions given to him. But for more context, let me read it for you so that you'll gain a deeper understanding into what I'm saying. So 2 Kings chapter 5, verses 10 to 14, and I'm reading from the NIV. And it says here that Elisha the prophet sent a messenger to say to him, "Go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored and you will be cleansed." But Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash them and be cleansed?" So he turned and went off in a rage. Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, 'Wash and be cleansed'?" So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. Now, what I'm going to do, just for context, I will break it down verse by verse, and I'll share my understanding of what I gained from this story. So again, Naaman was a leper. Of course, being sick and ill is not cool. Nobody wants to wake up feeling ill. Nobody wants to wake up hearing that they've got a disease. But for Elisha, a man of God, a man that is indeed after God's own heart, someone that can listen and hear God attentively, God used Elisha to help Naaman, whether he realized it or not. And in verse 10, it says that Elisha sent a messenger to Naaman. So Elisha sent someone to tell Naaman to go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan. Now that is an instruction. Elisha has already told Naaman, wash yourself 7 times in the river Jordan, and your flesh will be restored and you will be cleansed. Now, someone that is eager to receive their healing, particularly if those who have been sick for years, if they hear this and they've heard that Elisha is a true man of God, they would not doubt his instructions and they would obey. However, in verse 11, it says that Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought he, Elisha, would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God." So he thought that Elisha would have a different strategy to heal him. And at times in our lives, we tend to have strategies that we think will help us on our journey. We think if I just connect with that person, I'll be further. If I just do a few more hours at work, I might be promoted so that my manager can see me. If I just get with this person, I know I'll be able to go to the next level. But unfortunately, it wasn't the case for Naaman. Naaman had his own perception of how he wanted to be healed. But God knew how to use Elisha to help Naaman. So he thought that Elisha would call on the name of the Lord, his God, and wave his hand over the spot and cure him of his leprosy. So he wanted it his way. In other words, he wanted a shortcut. He didn't want to go through the process of dipping himself 7 times in the River Jordan. And how many of us at times tends to reject the instructions that are given to us? How many times have we had people tell us certain things and we don't take it serious, or we wait until something worse happens? Verse 12 says, "Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?" So again, he's questioning, why has Elisha told me to dip myself 7 times in the Jordan? Why can't Elisha just wave his hand and I'll be healed in a couple of seconds? Maybe Naaman saw how other people were healed through Elisha, and he thought that it was going to be exactly the same way it will be done for him. And this is something that we all have to be careful of, even myself included. That just because it works for one person doesn't mean that that same strategy is going to work for me. And even in this season of my life, I am very mindful of what I claim over my life. I'm very mindful of what I say I want, because I've seen, oh, A, she's done it this way, or B, he's done it that way. I believe this is the way for me as well. Don't take that route of thinking that the way other people are receiving their breakthroughs and their opportunities, you also want to jumpsuit and join and follow, without taking into account that everyone's life is not the same. So he turned off and went in a rage. Again, anger. When you are angry, it's difficult to receive the healing that the Lord wants to give you, because your perception is, I'm meant to be healed a certain way. Now, when someone speaks over your life that wants you to do well, you dare not question that person, especially if they are sent by God. Because if they are sent by God, you will receive your healing. It's never good for us to assume or point the finger or come to conclusions and say, I'm not going to listen to you. But what matters is his obedience to Elisha brought about his breakthrough. But again, it took him time to accept it. Now, if he didn't question, if he didn't doubt, all those moments where he was angry, he would have received his healing quicker. It doesn't specify how long his healing came, but I do believe on the same day Elisha spoke to him, Naaman got his healing. But the thing we have to remember is when we are angry, we can't hear from God. And therefore, it blocks God from speaking to the right people to help us. I learned recently in a Bible study called that your obedience and the obedience of people around you are so vital. When you live an obedient life, God will put people in your life to share with you what you pray to him in private. Because God can trust you. He can see that you are obeying him. He can see that you're surrendering to him without feeling the need to do things by yourself or in your own strength, or having your own divine strategy without consulting the one that knows you best. So verse 13 says, Naaman's servants went to him. In other words, these were the people that looked after Naaman. They were his servants. They were people who honored him. And they said, my father, look at that honor, calling Naaman a father. If the prophet Elisha had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? In other words, his servants are asking him, why don't you believe in what Elisha has told you to do? Why do you doubt his instructions? Do you think he will give you the wrong information when he sees that you are in a condition like this? He says to Naaman, wash and be cleansed. And eventually in verse 14, Naaman humbled himself and went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times. These were the instructions from day 1. Elisha told Naaman to dip himself in the Jordan 7 times. And the number 7, from a biblical point of view, represents completion and perfection, as the man of God had told him. So God completed and perfected the healing because he eventually obeyed Elisha the prophet. And his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. How amazing is this story? As short as it is, we can all learn a lot from this. I have learned a lot. When I was reading, it blew me away that I had to speak about this, because there are some people right now who think that their ways will always be correct. And that could be because of stubbornness, ignorance, arrogance, pride, fear, all these things which God will never entertain in the lives of his children. When we are fearful, we become defensive. When we are arrogant, we become defensive. When we are ignorant, we become defensive, because everything we do, we think that it is correct. It will take life to humble us, ladies and gents, to remember that we don't always have it all together. We don't always know what we are doing. Even the decisions we make, whether it's at work, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your family home, whether it's in your finances, we don't always make the right decisions. And sometimes these decisions are made out of impulse or fear, sometimes even anger or rage, as what Naaman was. He was angry because Elisha gave him a simple instruction. How can simplicity make you flare up? It's not that Elisha told Naaman to walk 2 hours to get his healing. It was right in front of him. And this is also another reminder that there are some blessings that are already in front of you, waiting for you to get it. But you're questioning it and asking, is it really mine? How do you know? Are you sure it's not going to disappoint me? Are you sure I'm really going to receive it? All these things brings doubt. But God being so faithful, he kept Naaman's life and he healed him. Why also? Because Elisha was also pure in heart. And this tells me that the people in your environment has to also have pure hearts. When people in your life are obedient, and when you live a life of obedience, God can speak clearly. Even if you don't want to be obedient, God will still have mercy on you because of the people who are obedient in your life. There are some people that God is using in your life right now to tell you things, to communicate with you, to strengthen you. It could be a season where God is telling that person to tell you to be still. It could be a season where God is directly telling you to be still. And being still is one of the best places to be in. And at some point, I really want to talk about the stillness and the beauty of what it brings in our lives. But if Elisha wasn't obedient, if Elisha didn't even tell Naaman, that would have been his opportunity gone. Naaman would have not got his healing. But Elisha heard the voice of God. Elisha knew that he was sent for Naaman. And whether you know someone or not, if God brings someone into your life and shares a word with you that you need, don't doubt it. Just thank God for it. I've had experiences in my life where the Lord has used countless of people who will share things with me that I never told them because I sought God in my private time. Remember Matthew chapter 6 verse 33, seek ye first the kingdom of God? That scripture still stands today. God does not want you speaking to anyone else first before seeking him. It will be a disservice to God to go to him second when you've gone to people first. And I'm not saying that we don't need people to share our burdens with. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm truly saying is that there are some things that you can tell God and he will figure it out himself because he is able to. And we don't need to help God to do what only he can do. What if Naaman said, Elisha, I'm not listening to you. This instruction is just too much. Why am I dipping 7 times in the Jordan River? Where would he be now? Maybe the leprosy would not have even left him. And sometimes as human beings, we need to be careful of the people we tend to or may come across as being disrespectful because you don't think their choice for your life is right. It's not that Elisha shouted at him or said, well, that's your loss. If you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. He wasn't pompous. When God gives you a word, are you going to take it on board or are you going to doubt it? But my joy about Naaman is that truly he did eventually surrender and he obeyed and submitted to the process. And he got his full healing because verse 14 says that he became clean like that of a young boy. Imagine fresh skin, no spots, no pimples. Everything is clean, smooth, all because of obedience. And further down, we see that Naaman wanted to give Elisha a gift. But Elisha said, no, I don't need to take this gift from you. In other words, I've done what the Lord has told me to do. Now, live your life and live it well. It's so important that we remember the people who are around us, who God has ordained to lead us in this life. We have to give them honor. So let's recap. What have we learned? We've learned that when someone gives you an instruction, take heed to it. Listen, especially when you are in a critical condition. Don't doubt who God brings into your life for fear of this won't work. Or because you've had experiences in the past where it didn't work, you think this time it won't work. You'll be very surprised. Again, Naaman eventually surrendered and he received his healing. How many of us right now are taking heed to God's voice? How many of us are utilizing the people in our environments to help us to become the people that we are today? And above all, how are we and our environments consistently striving to be obedient to God? Your obedience opens doors of opportunities, but disobedience will keep you where you are. We don't want to be where we are in the next 10 years. We want to be further. And 10 years may be long, but believe me, the way this year is going so fast, you will see how quick 10 years will come. You'll be so shocked. In the next 10 years, make sure you watch this video again to see how your progress is going. But other than that, I really hope you've gained a lot from this video, as much as I have. I love learning from people like this. And again, we can't blame Naaman. Who knows how long he has been ill for? But at the end of the day, when someone is in your life to help you, to nurture you on your journey, don't doubt their presence in your life. Because if you doubt their presence, you're doubting God's power, which means that he can't do what he wants to do. Because anytime you doubt God, he can't move on your behalf. So I really hope that this video has encouraged you. And I really want you to take the time to go back in your secret place and find those areas and moments in your life where you have been quite hesitant to surrender or to abide or listen to instructions. Take that time to ask yourself, what can I do to be better in my life so that everything about my life emulates Christ and I won't need to struggle in my own strength anymore. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to know more about the stillness and the beauty of what it is in this season, please do let me know by leaving a comment below. Please do ensure that you like, share and subscribe, and do share this video with someone who you believe needs it right now in this season. Thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Till next time, see you soon. Bye bye.